Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the sequel to the 2019 film Shazam, and this is once again directed by David F. Sandberg. When a vengeful trio of ancient gods arrive on Earth in search of the magic stolen from them long ago, Shazam and his allies get thrust into a battle for their superpowers, their lives, and the fate of the world. Now, before I get into this video, I did rewatch the first Shazam in preparation for the sequel. I did like the first Shazam when it was back in cinemas in 2019. I just didn't really like that final act as it dragged along, and I was starting to get a bit bored. Then rewatching it for the second time, I enjoyed it much more. It's a breath of fresh air from the DCEU. I like the campiness, I like how it juggles the tone of the humour, the drama, and some elements of horror there. And I very much like the backstory and motivations of Mark Strong's character who plays the villain in the film. It was a refreshing, simple, and a sweet watch. For Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I have to say that I honestly found this to be forgettable and disappointing. But before I get into my negatives, there were some aspects that I did like. I thought all of the cast did a pretty good job from their performances. Zachary Levi still shows a lot of care and enjoyment from his performance as Shazam. Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddy truly goes all in this, especially with the more dramatic scenes. Digimon Halsu, I do apologise if I said that name wrong, who plays the wizard in the film, once again is very exaggerating, but in a good way. And Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as the two villains both did a fine job in the film. As well as Adam Brody, Cooper Andrews, Rachel Zegler, and Asher Angel as Billy Batson all do a pretty fine job in the film. I liked the creature designs, there was some fine magic, CGI and action. I would say I laughed once in this film. There is a scene when Shazam and the team save all of these civilians on a collapsing bridge, and after they do, Shazam says, "Right, all we need to do now is make sure that this bridge does not collapse." And then we cut straight to a bird's eye view shot of the bridge that has now collapsed in the sea. I thought that was a nice little funny moment from the setup and payoff. Other than that, I honestly didn't really like anything else about this film. The main problem with Shazam! Fury of the Gods is you've got a plot that does not provide anything new, and at the same time, it felt nothing really happened in this film. It was one of those films where the film would start off and then when it ended, it was the exact same place, and nothing really was developed from these characters. I just feel like this second installment of Shazam was a chore to make, and for me, this was a chore to watch. The pacing was not great, every scene felt rushed, and you could never appreciate the experience compared to the previous film, where the first film took its time presenting the story and characters. But I felt like with the priority of this film was all about the constant action and CGI. And with the humour, it all felt very forced. Now, of course, I fully understand when it comes to the humour of Shazam, this is meant to be a much lighter and easier watch for audiences, and these films do consider to be a comedy. The first film does a much better job at setting up and paying off all of the jokes, whereas this film just pushes and forces all of this humour that was never really funny, except the bridge scene, which I mentioned earlier. The sense of humour was very much like, haha, so random, a lot of screaming and a lot of shouting. Because apparently, in some films, in the current generation, this is what our sense of humour has come to. There was a scene when one of the characters has Skittles on them. Whew, gosh. If you've seen Shazam! Fury of the Gods, you already know which scene I mean. All I'm going to say is that I have never felt that cringed before since the "what are those" jokes from the first Black Panther film. Regarding the villains, I found their motivations to be forgettable, wooden, bland, and in a way, personal. This is going to be a minor spoiler, so there's your warning. The two sisters, their father was killed by the gods and is their reason to get revenge. Again, this is personal, but it was never explored and it was only briefly mentioned a couple of times. We never got like a backstory, which could have been for the opening of the film or a scene throughout the film, compared to like we did from the first film of Mark Strong's character. So with that, I honestly could not care about their motivations as I was given not that much and only little. The only scene I found to be interesting and felt, oh, something is happening here, is the first post-credit scene. Now, of course, I will not spoil of what happens in this scene. I just find it interesting of where the character Shazam is going to go next. Now that James Gunn has taken over the franchise and we are now nearing the end of the DCEU, but without giving too much away, the scene had that James Gunn vibe to it, and I'm just interested to see if Shazam could kind of change now that James Gunn has taken over. In the end, Shazam Fury of the Gods does show some care from the performances, some technical aspects, and I'm sure some people will find it fun, but it was nothing new and it's now made the experience forgettable. Now I don't know how long this video is going to be until it's all been edited together. If it is short, I am sorry, but this is what happens when it's difficult to say more when you've seen a film that provides nothing. Based on my Letterboxd rating, I'm going to give Shazam Fury of the Gods a 2-star out of 5. Thank you so much for watching, and look out for more videos coming your way.